Well, if Nintendo won't make the Switch Pro themselves, I guess Valve will do it. Hello everyone, Professor Kaken here. I was going to make a video about the Switch OLED when it was announced, but it's not really worth it looking at the details of that device. But we've got a device here that is worth talking about, and it's made by Valve. Now, if you follow Tyler McVicker, you've probably saw this coming. He hinted at it, and he's talked about it previously in his streams and videos. This is a handheld console, kind of like the Switch. It's a little bit bigger. It's an x86 system. It is literally a handheld PC. Valve has called it such. And it comes in three models. 400 for a 64 gigabyte device, 530 for 256 gigabytes, and 650 for half a terabyte. And that may seem pricey, but honestly, I like this device. I like it a lot, and I think that it is a better deal than Nintendo Switch, and I'll tell you why. Even the 64 gigabyte model, which is $400, and this new OLED Switch, which is also 64 gigabytes, by the way, in storage, is $350. So why is this better, you may ask? Okay. Well, I'll put it to you like this. It's an x86 machine. It's got about 2 hours battery life thereabouts, depending on the game. In terms of power, it's about a base PlayStation 4 from what I've read. You can definitely play the most modern AAA games on it. You're not going to be playing Doom Eternal with ray tracing at the highest settings, but you can play it. And you also get access to all of Valve's games, except for maybe Half-Life Alyx. But you get Half-Life, you get Half-Life 2 in its episodes, you get Portal 2, you get Left 4 Dead. I'm sure Dota's playable on it if you're into that. You also have the ability to emulate games on this. I mean, RetroArch is on Steam, yes, but Valve very graciously lets you install other operating systems on this. This is a PC. You could put Windows or Linux or Temple OS if you really wanted to on this machine, and you can just run anything you want. So let's think about it like this. You have access to Steam. You have access to Xbox Game Pass. You also have access to EA Play if you're a Game Pass subscriber. You have access to cloud streaming via Valve, Xbox, or Stadia if you must, PS Now as well. You'll have access to Microsoft ports that are on Steam. You'll have access to Sony game ports on Steam. And I'm not even mentioning the untapped world of emulation. And this is a fairly powerful machine. I've seen people discussing the possibility of emulating Switch games on it. I don't know about that, but I could certainly see you playing, GameCube, Wii, PlayStation 2, Wii U even, some games like that on this system. And I think the content alone is what blasts this portable to the top. Because, let's talk about it like this. At the end of the day, we're all here for games. That's what we want. And it really, not to me anyway, it doesn't fully matter how that content is delivered. I want it to be playable, of course. I want it to look good. But my standard for that has been, for the longest time, 60 FPS, 1080p. Now, some people are okay with less. Some people are okay with 30 FPS at 720p. Some people, they don't want anything less than 144 Hz at 4K resolution. And that's why Switch and PC exist, And these options are at different price points, right? But I think this system, for the sheer amount of content you can get access to, for its price point, I think is very fair. I think it's incredibly fair. I think that it's the best deal you can get, because it's got a dock as well. You don't have to use this as a portable. Like, it really is a quote-unquote Switch Pro. Will you play them at 4K resolution? Probably not. You know, you're probably not going to be playing any game on your TV at 4K resolution. But 1080p, you know, if you want to play Doom Eternal on higher settings and you want to sacrifice some visibility, you can play it at 720p. You know, like, there's configurability there. More than what you may even get in a console port. And that's just what I'm saying. For the content and the configurability, I think it's fantastic. If there is one thing I don't like about the Steam Deck, those trackpads. I'm looking at the webpage right now, and I just see the Steam Deck spinning around, and I'm looking at those trackpads and the button placement and the D-pad, and I don't care for that. But in terms of content alone, I think this thing is worth it. Now, apparently, you can start ordering it next year, but they are selling reservations. You know, $5 will basically guarantee you a slot to actually pre-order the machine. Okay, and those are getting scalped on eBay too, like the Switch OLED. Man, I love the internet. I love it so much. And I didn't jump on this earlier when it was first announced because more information has come out, of course, and you may not even have to buy this exact model, because Gabe Newell himself has been on record to say, we want other companies to make a Steam Deck. So you could have a Steam Deck from, Samsung, you could have one from HTC, you could have a Microsoft one. Now that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be interesting if Microsoft integrated Game Pass into Steam and then released their own Steam Deck? That would be interesting now, wouldn't it? Because you would have access to all those games right out of the box for a fee a month. You've got... It's an Xbox handheld. They would have their own handheld, and it wouldn't really require a lot of work. So I think that could be interesting. I think it would also, again, put Nintendo Switch in an interesting position, because for the longest time, that was the Xbox handheld. That was what Xbox put a lot of games onto. And, you know, it still might be, you know. This is just speculation on my part. But I am very curious to see how this goes, see how other companies will respond to it. And I remember in my E3 predictions video, I talked about wanting Half-Life and Portal games, mostly Half-Life, on something that isn't a PlayStation 2 or a PC, and this is kind of it. This is kind of it. I mean, I could take Half-Life on the go and play it. Now, you know, it's not going to be the greatest experience. It's not going to be like X-3D, which, if you don't know what that is a sort of a re-implementation of the Gold Source engine. Like, you know how people will take the code for Doom and they create things like Xandranim, I think that's one of them, and it updates the code for modern devices, and you can take the data of Doom, shove it into the program, and, you know, it updates it, lets you play with the WASD keys, allows for modern sound capability. That's what X-3D is, and that's available on, like, so many different consoles and smartphones. It's also available on PC if you want to play it on that. But here we have Half-Life in portable capacity, officially too, so I think that's really cool. So you guys, tell me what you think of the Steam Deck. Also, tell me what you think of the Switch OLED. I'm not going to make a video about that, but since it's a similar device, I'm going to mention it here. So tell me what you think about that too. I'm interested to see how the two devices will influence each other down the road. And I'm Professor Kagan, Professor Inigo only. You all take care.